Welcome to this episode of the Geotechnical Engineering Podcast. In today's episode, I'm talking with Sam Warren, Vice President of Farrell Design-Build, the West Coast business unit of Menard, USA. Joining him today are two new engineering professionals coming fresh out of college, Adam Fayko and Luis Pinedo. We'll be talking about the dynamic interplay between AI and geotechnical engineering. We'll talk about the challenges and the opportunities that are presented to young engineers. We'll also look at how AI is reshaping engineering practices and how we can prepare for future trends. I'm your host, Jared Green, and I'm excited to be bringing you another episode of the Geotechnical Engineering Podcast. But before we get started, here's a quick word from our sponsor for today's episode, that being Menard, USA. And with that, let's dive right into today's episode.
This video is brought to you by Menard, USA. Menard, USA is a specialty ground improvement contractor that works nationally providing design-build ground improvement solutions at sites with problematic soils. Menard works closely with civil, structural, and geotechnical engineers to minimize foundation costs for wide ranges of soil conditions, structure types, and loading conditions. To learn more about Menard, USA, or for help on your next project, please visit www.menardusa.com.
Sam, Adam, Luis, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Good. Happy to be here.
Excellent.
Yep, doing great. Thank you.
Excellent. No, I appreciate you all carving out some time for us, and looking forward to, it's usually myself and one guest, but we have like the bonus here of having the three of you. So it'd be great if each of you could introduce yourselves to listeners and those that are watching, and, explain a little bit about what you do on a daily basis. As far as order, I guess we'll do Sam, then we'll do Adam, and then we'll close with Luis. But let us know a little bit more about yourself. Tell us your story.
Yeah. Hey, I'm Sam. I'm a vice president at Farrell Design-Build. Been with the company for 15 years now. Haven't escaped yet. Still here. And we specialize in deep foundations and ground improvement all throughout the West Coast of the United States. It's a challenge. We serve our people. We try to serve our customers. And we enjoy doing that now as part of Menard USA. So we joined them in 2021.
All right, great. Thanks, Sam. Adam?
So my name's Adam Fayko. I'm a newly graduated college student, Bachelor of Science from Sacramento State in civil engineering. I'm also a newly hired junior engineer at Farrell Design-Build.
All right, great. Thanks, Adam. Luis?
Hi, my name's Luis. I'm currently an intern at Farrell. I've been here for about half a year now. I graduate next semester, so that'll be May 2024, and I'm excited for the future.
Excellent. So you're the coolest intern you got on a podcast. How about that? For bragging rights. That's great. Well, thank you so much, Sam. How do you see the role of experienced engineers? How do you see that experienced engineer? How do you see that role evolving in an AI-driven industry? I mean, just by every meeting I'm in, people are talking about AI. What are your thoughts there?
I don't think we know how to respond to it. I think, what's been new in geotech in the last 50 years? Like, the fundamentals are pretty fundamental, and we're not very receptive or expedient to change. So I think all of us hear about AI. I think all of us older guys are like, how does this affect us? Because certainly the computer and the phone affected us. And, I can't think of a successful geotech company or structural engineer who doesn't have a computer, right? So is this going to be in 10 years a thing with AI? Right? These are all questions that we're very uncomfortable with. And unfortunately, I just don't know. And that's why I'm really intrigued to hear these two gentlemen as young engineers who are deeply exposed to this in academia, and to hear what their thoughts are.
Excellent. No, that's really great, Sam. And similar to your answer, I don't know. It's like, ask the youngest person around you, right? How do we do this? So, Adam, how has AI influenced your undergraduate studies in the last year? Like, what is happening?
Yeah, so I'd say it's had a big influence on it. I use ChatGPT for multiple things. I'd say some of the things that I use it for are, if I write something, I will present it to ChatGPT and ask it to critique it and ask it to, if it has like any ways I could say things better or change my grammar. Other ways that I use it is if there's a concept that I'm not really clear on, I might test my waters with ChatGPT and see if it could clear anything up. I have found that sometimes it will give incorrect information, so that's you kind of just use it as a guide. If you have, or if there's nowhere else to go, you can go to ChatGPT and see if it can give you any good information. And I'd say the final thing is it has a built-in OCR. It's an optical character recognition. So say you had a PDF with a table that you would like to be in Excel, but you don't want to spend time inputting. You could take a screenshot of it, post it to ChatGPT, and it'll instantly give you a CSV that you could post into Excel. So that's how it's affected me.
And what is a CSV for those that are saying, what's a CSV?
It's a comma separated value, I think it's what it's basically just an Excel format that's separated by commas. The values are separated by commas that Excel interprets as a table.
Yep. So you can put the data in and then all of a sudden it tabulates itself.
Yeah. So that's a form of automation. It's been super useful. I've used it both professionally and in school.
Sam, so I guess you and I, when we write an email, we're typically not going, because I saw your face did what my brain did. We're typically not checking grammar through ChatGPT. Mm-hmm. We see the squiggly line and we say, oh, we might have spelled something wrong, and we'll do that. But we're usually not doing what Adam's doing there. That's interesting.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Okay, well, thank you for that, Adam. And Luis, how do you feel your undergraduate studies will be benefited or harmed by AI? And I say that because Adam just said something about sometimes it's not right. So what are your thoughts there, Luis?
Yeah, I think it's beneficial for like Adam said, to build off what he said, double checking your grammar. I think it can help in that sense. And also I found it's very helpful for research. Sometimes I'm kind of stuck on where to start. If I ask ChatGPT, it can give me a generate a list of ideas to build off of, and concepts to dive into. At the same time, though, I think it can be harmful to our learning, especially like in our undergraduate years. We're learning critical thinking skills, and some people will use ChatGPT or another form of that to kind of as like a cop out, instead of actually, engaging in that conversation with other peers. So I guess it kind of is harmful to like collaboration. It kind of stops people from collaborating with one another, and instead of asking your classmate or your professor, why not consort an AI? So I think that's where it can be harmful.
I'm pretty sure we're gonna have a totally different conversation with professors, not calling out your professors, but I don't even understand how you provide a test or a grade if people are able to just go to this thing, right? Now, Sam, how is AI technology? How has AI technology transformed the field of geotech in the recent years? This is really very recent years, but what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think we've seen a lot. Honestly, I think we've seen it through, our Outlook, our spell check. I think the fringes of the services that we use, we see a lot of AI-driven things. If we're using things like Salesforce to track relationships with customers, we see some aspects of AI there. Mm-hmm. But in terms of the bread and butter calculations of geotech, I feel like it's not glamorous right now, right? And these young guys are I would say, the best position to know in the background what's happening in the real world, while just getting into the depths of geotech. And I think there's a huge opportunity for the young crowd to identify some of the good that can come of the leveraging AI. Honestly, I think there's a couple companies that could come out of this. I know we have big hitters like CSI and Bentley, and a lot of other companies that offer tools that we use day to day. But I think we'll see some new companies come out of this.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's an opportunity, and the folks that are paying attention and finding a way to leverage it are the ones that are going to, benefit from that, right? And then everybody else that sitting on the sidelines is going to get, blown past. So, Luis, from your perspective, again, exiting college and entering the workforce, how important do you think AI will be for the long-term career?
Yeah, I can see it definitely being an important aspect. Long term, like 10, 20 years from now, I think AI is great at maximizing efficiencies,
Hmm.
as well as like generating agendas. So maybe it can help out being more organized. As far as like in geotech specifically, I think I'm a little too early to see maybe where it can be used and where it can't be used. But I think it's, automation is becoming a big thing, and I think it can help out with, day-to-day tasks for sure.
Okay. So when Sam was talking about the potential for companies to come about, I think that the real opportunity there is when you have young folks that understand the technology, and then I'm not gonna say old folks, I'm gonna say more seasoned professionals, right? More seasoned professionals that know what these pain points are, and perhaps some of the nitty gritty or the things that we don't feel like doing or more run of the mill or easier to define, perhaps those can be automated so we can focus in, attention on something else. But Sam, what are some, innovative practices that companies can adopt to foster a workplace culture that's conducive to the growth of young talent? I mean, because if you're saying that there's talent that can really lead us to the next chapter of what geotech looks like. But if we're not talking and we're not engaging, and we're going to miss out on that. So how do we have cultures that get them to be a part of that?
Yeah. I wish I knew the answer, but I'll tell you some of my naive
Okay.
thoughts. And yeah, so I think it's easy to get distracted on AI as some magical thing to help us in the future, but I think we can't be distracted. We always have to focus on the humans, the human aspect that AI can't replicate. There will always be a need to sell. There will always be a need to communicate some obscure concept or a solution to a client or customer stakeholders. So I think as we progress to attract talent, we always have to be willing and able to always continue to bring up the new generation. So mentorship cannot be replaced by AI,
Yeah.
right? The older people have to keep on investing in the young coming in. So I think that's the most important thing. And then also just having an atmosphere of openness to new things. It would be a mistake to close off
Yeah.
and to say, well, I just don't understand this and whatever, I'm out in 10 years and I'm going to retire. I think that's a
Yeah.
mistake. I think that's a disservice to the new generation coming in. And it's here. It's going to affect every aspect of your life. And certainly it may take a little longer for geotech, and I think you should pay attention and be open to it.
That's so true. That's so true, and it's super key. I mean, here at the Engineering Management Institute, we've always really talked about the importance of mentorship, the importance of coaching, and any seasoned professional, if they're being honest, they'll tell you that they made it because somebody invested in them. And if we're not investing in our people and we're counting on a computer or AI to do that, we're gonna be in trouble, right? But if you're providing a culture where that's something that's still important, you're right. We're going to get those good ideas. We're going to make sure that we're walking together with both generations or tiers of generations, getting the best of what's available. So that's encouraging to me, as I'm sure it is for folks that are listening or watching. Now, Adam, sorry, what can you say that employers and engineer organizations can do to promote change in this new AI field? I mean, what are some of the things that should be incorporated or considered?
I think the first thing that comes to mind is kind of building off what Sam said. Just be open to experimentation and have an innovative mindset, and just kind of maintaining that type of environment is really important. Other things, this may be in the future, but maybe develop some sort of guideline
Hmm.
once we have a good grasp on what AI is going to be useful for and what it isn't, on how it can be used in an ethical and like accountable way. So if there's like a new professional coming in to a company, there should be some guideline in place in the future to say, you can use AI for this, but probably don't want to use it for this, something like that. Other things that come to mind is maybe like provide some training, um, and it might be that the company is in communication with the entities that are creating the AI, that every time there's something new that's created or a new feature, that there's, bi-yearly trainings so that so that they can be applied to the workplace. That's
Got it. No, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense.
You know, I got kind of a follow up
Go
on
for it.
that. I'm interested to see how these engineering organizations will respond. Are we taking a lead here? We have the ASCE Code of Conduct or Ethics.
Mhm.
Um, you know, maybe we should take that out and think about how AI will change that.
That's a really good point. I think that each organization is kind of, studying at the same time, it seems. I was in a meeting for American Council of Engineering Companies not too long ago, and we're just talking about, well, wait, what does this mean for us as engineers? And it's one of those things. I think when we came out, it said we have to make sure we understand, and that we don't just say, we don't understand it, we're not going to pay attention to it. It's like you have to find a way to understand what it means and what it means for you as an organization, as an industry, and in our case, as a discipline of civil engineering. So again, I see it as an opportunity, and I'm excited. And with the young generation here with us now, I think that we're having the conversation, which is a good conversation and a timely one. Now, Luis, when you think about looking for an employer or a place to work, I mean, there are probably some important qualities that you're looking for in that type of entity. But how do you think that AI will influence the quality in the long run as you're making that decision?
Yeah, I think it was mentioned earlier that, it's either you go with the times or you're left behind in the dust. I think as a young person looking at future careers, I'm going to be attracted more to a company who has qualities of growth. And if you're keeping up with the times and innovating and I guess renovating your own infrastructure within your company, it shows me that you're planning on being here for a long time, and
Yeah.
I can hop on board and be with you for a while. So
Okay. Got it. So this is important for those listening in. It's very important. Now, Sam, what are some of the biggest challenges that young engineers might face in adapting to these new work environments? Work environments you and I don't even know how to explain right now.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. How do you foster engineering judgment when it's so easy to get a hard answer from AI? Uh, I would say, my encouragement to anyone who's young, even in school right now, you really have to resist the urge to accomplish a task just to get a grade. You really got to resist the urge to not suffer. And when I say that, like when you're faced with a challenging test question or a paper that you have to write, you don't learn by the answer, you learn by the struggle in your brain, right? And so we can never, I just, my encouragement is whatever distraction, whatever promises that we have of this thing that's going to solve our world problems, well, never let that distract you from your own development. You really have to internalize it. You have to know it. Even if AI provides you a suggestion, like Adam said, you still need the discernment to realize, hey, maybe this is not quite right. So I would say focus on yourself and focus on your own long-term career and development. Don't let AI distract you.
I like the way you said that, distract, because that's a huge temptation. It's like the answer key is potential answer key, right? Because Adam said, I heard Adam say it, sometimes it's wrong. He didn't say often it's wrong, but he said sometimes it's wrong. So it's the answer key, but it might not be the right answer key. That's a tough temptation for someone that's learning ethics, right? It's like you're not a professional engineer yet, right? But to have that awareness and mindset is so important. So thank you for that, Sam. Now, Adam, what obstacles do you see for future young engineers?
So I think one of the obstacles is sort of the rapid technological advancement that's occurring.
Hmm.
I think it's creating sort of a disconnect between the professional environment and the school environment. So as technology is advancing, it's accelerating. At the rate at it's how quickly it's advancing is, like I said, it's accelerating, and I think that the skill gap is going to um, like there's going to be a growing mismatch between what goes on at school and what goes on in the workplace. Like I don't know, at least my experience in undergraduate, and maybe Luis could touch on this as well, is that it seems to be a little bit behind what is occurring in the professional environment. So my concern is that young engineers are going to come out of school and be less prepared. And that may even be worsened by AI. Like if students are just relying on AI to get through school, they're going to get to the professional workplace and realize that you can't just rely on AI. That may be a potential possibility.
So true. So true. Thank you for that. And Luis, what do you think can be done to spark more interest amongst young students in the field of geotechnical engineering?
Yeah, so how I got introduced to it was going to a Cal Geo meeting.
Hmm.
I thought geotechnical engineering, when I first entered college, was using like software to scan the earth. I had no idea what it was. Um, so I think getting out there more to even junior colleges and where people are just starting and just float the idea. I always say discuss big projects, as in like actually physically big. Everyone loves a huge infrastructure project. It's cool.
Yeah.
And then also share numbers with people. How much is the field growing? you know People, when they're entering college, they're there to eventually get a career. So you know showing them that you're like, hey, you're going to have a job in the future. This isn't just going out. That's very important to a lot of people. And I think that's a great way to spark the interest. And then from there, build upon that.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Now the reality is that there's a need for civil engineers. I think that let's see, I was in Anaheim for ASCE some months ago, maybe that was probably over a year ago now, and they were talking about with the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act how many civil engineers are going to be needed, and I think it was something like 25,000 per year for the next 10 years, and I think U.S. Institutions are graduating like 18,000 to 20,000 per year. So there's a delta in civil engineers. I didn't see the breakdown for geotechs, but a fraction of that is going to be, a good number of those are going to be geotechs that are needed as we're digging into the earth. It's like we need geotechs. So there's definitely opportunity there. And I think that you're right. That we focus in on the big projects. That's going to be something that's going to be able to keep people's interest and get people excited.
Before we go on here, I'd like to recognize our sponsor for this episode, PPI, a leader in engineering exam prep for the FE and PE exams. PPI provides expert prep courses and study resources designed to help you pass the FE and PE exams the first time. PPI's live online courses include hours of lectures, problem-solving demonstrations, exam strategy sessions, office hours, and a passing guarantee. Check out PPI today at ppi2pass.com to see all the options available for FE and PE exam prep. Now let's dive into today's episode.
So let's see, Sam, in the longer term, what are some significant changes that you anticipate in geotechnical engineering practices or methodologies?
Boy, well, I think geotech is a data-driven profession, right? We want site-specific information from the proposed development. We shouldn't be using it next door. We should be doing it on that site because everything is different, right? And but also I think about the correlations that are out there, right? We have a lot of data in the last 100 years. We have a lot of lab tests. And I think the winners of using this tool will find a way to use data to find new relationships and new correlations. We kind of take a couple authors for granted and think it's gospel, but maybe they're either too conservative or not conservative. So I think getting the true heart of geotech, which is getting site-specific data and updating our correlations so that we can be better engineers in the future, providing better services to customers, and honestly, a safer result for the general public. So I think, said another way, we can make safer designs, safer, more reliable structures if we implement some of these tools. We just need the young up-and-comers to develop those.
That's great. There's a PhD student that's listening to what you're saying, Sam, and they're like, all right, I'm going to continue on, right?
Yeah, there you go.
That's great. That's great. So, Adam, from your perspective, what are the next steps in order to use AI in your day-to-day tasks?
So I think identify where it could be beneficial, kind of like we talked about at the beginning. identifying what AI excels at and where maybe it shouldn't be used. Um, Things like analyzing data, like Sam said, or some, I touched on using the OCR capabilities. Another way is that I think it should be gradually implemented. I don't think that we should just use it full force. I think that we should use it for more menial tasks, and then before we kind of use it for something that requires engineering judgment or something like that, give it some more time.
Got it. And Luis, how do you envision the advancement of geotechnical engineering in the near future?
Yeah, so currently there's a ton of new softwares that are coming out, and not only for geotechnical engineering but for every field. And I think there's going to be a lot more coming. Maybe a lot of them will implement AI, increase automation, so maybe you don't have to do too much of the the grunt work of getting the numbers, and it might do the calcs for you and all that. I think there's definitely going to be an increase in software reliancy, and I think that's going to be a big part of training in the future, is more of like a technical training, which isn't necessarily related to our field, but just understanding how to work these programs is going to be necessary.
Got it. And I'll go back to what Sam said earlier. The fundamentals are going to be so key. As we're leaning more on technology, we got to make sure we're not throwing the fundamentals out. You got to know what a right answer looks like before you start punching numbers. So Sam, I'm gonna give you the last word here to end off, and thank you to Adam and Luis and Sam, of course. But to end off, what's the final piece of advice that you can offer to young engineers today that set them up for a successful, lifelong career?
Yeah, don't get distracted. There will be new things, flashy things, promises that will make your life bliss. But don't get distracted. I think you need to focus on knowing what you know and get more confident in that. And more importantly, understand what you don't know and seek to fix that, right? So no one's here. AI is not going to make you a better person. It's you and your own decision to develop yourself. And these two young men, we're happy to have them. And, we had a wide gamut of candidates, and it really shows when somebody has some self-driven desire to improve themselves. It's easy to find jobs because we're looking for those people that are ready to jump on board, like Luis talked about.
Excellent. All right, great, guys. This is great. I'm so glad that you came on. This is a lot of fun, and I'm sure that this provided value for those that are watching, those that are listening. So thank you again. I hope you enjoyed the episode today. We would love to hear your feedback, comments, and or questions. Please feel free to go to geotechnicalengineeringpodcast.com, where you'll find a summary of the key points discussed in today's episode, that being episode 93, as well as links to any of the resources, websites, or books mentioned during this episode. Until next time, we wish you the very best in all of your geotechnical engineering endeavors. Peace.